Good evening. It is 7 o'clock, and I would like to call the Thursday, October 25th, 2012 special meeting of the Bucyrus Board of Education to order. Roll call, please. Mrs. Jacobs.
Mrs. Stone? Here. Mr. Schiefer?
Here.
Mr. Stone?
Here.
Dr. Johnson?
Here.
And Ms. Eichel? Here.
Please join me in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
For those of you here for the art awards, I do want to point out we're having a special meeting at 7 o'clock. The regular meeting will begin at 7:15. And at some point early in the agenda, you folks will, your students will be recognized. And then at some point, you're free to go. You don't have to stay for the whole second meeting. So, but we've kind of got you captive for the first one.
Yeah.
And I think it's important. So, Mr. Kimmel, please, the first item under personnel.
Dr. Johnson, it's my recommendation that the Board of Education approve personnel classified item A in the agenda.
Okay, and would there be a motion in support of that?
So moved.
Mr. Stone, would there be a second?
Second.
Mr. Schiefer, any discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Mrs. Stone? Yes. Mr. Schiefer?
Yes.
Mr. Stone?
Yes.
Dr. Johnson?
Yes. And Mr. Kimmel, the item under board member appointment.
Dr. Johnson, it's my recommendation that the Board of Education approve item A under board member appointment.
Would there be a motion in support?
So moved.
Would there be a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Roll call, please. Mrs. Jacobs.
Mrs. Stone? Yes. Mr. Schiefer?
Yes.
Mr. Stone?
Yes.
Dr. Johnson?
Yes. Okay, at this time, we would like Brad Murdoch to come forward and be sworn in. It's a little tradition here, we swear you in and then you get sworn in.
That's right. You can raise your hand, please. Do you solemnly swear that you will support the constitutions of the state of Ohio and you will faithfully and impartially discharge your duties as a member of the Board of Education of Bucyrus City School District, Crawford County, Ohio, to the best of your ability and in accordance with the laws now in effect and hereafter to be enacted during your continuance in said office and until your successor is elected and qualified? If so, please answer, I do.
I do.
Well,
Thank you.
why don't you sign?
Congratulations. Well, we do want to welcome Brad Murdoch onto the Board of Education. We certainly look forward to your insights as we have many important decisions to make going forward with the business of the school district. We welcome you. Thank you. And again, look forward to working with you. Thank you. Is there any other comments at this point? Anyone have? Would there be a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second. Roll call.
Mrs. Stone? Yes. Mr. Schiefer?
Yes.
Mr. Stone?
Yep.
Dr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes. Meeting adjourned.
That's our one done, sir.
I do, yes. You are.
We could ask.
It's gonna be a good night.
Congratulations, Harry.
If anybody from the press would like to talk to Mr. Murdoch, that would certainly be appropriate, and we'll reconvene with our regular meeting in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Vice President for Stars.
Do you want to inspire you to try to take the vacant seat?
Well, I've got 2 50 years.
No. What requirements are. So I'm just glad I got my reading certificate many years ago. You know, that's one of those things that there was a guy, I happened to interview for your time with one high school. I did 2 years at the ranch and I walked in the first day of classes and went into the classroom and there was a guy full beard, long hair, and out there was how many years ago? 30 years ago.
And it's not.
And then senior student teacher, it was amazing how many people were there. I understand. Kids, not really. It was just and got, like I said, so
Bucyrus Connections does. How many times did the PIS cover that? I wrote a letter on, I wrote it in dispatch, I wrote a document, yeah. It's like a comment. Yeah. You kept on this, I know you heard about this, I know you heard about this.
But anyway, I remember how long, but I don't remember anyway. Going to see her.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah, but it's all those.
She's like,
I had
that's
heard
gonna give you
most of them because
your,
If there's no objection, I would like to proceed with the special meeting or call the the regular Thursday, October 25th, 2012, regular meeting of the Bucyrus Board of Education to order. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Stone? Here. Mr. Schiefer?
Here.
Mr. Stone?
Here.
Mr. Murdaugh?
Here.
Dr. Johnson?
Here.
Ms. Oates? Here.
And protocol states that we shall do the pledge when we have a regular meeting. Please join me once again. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mrs. Jacobs. Approval of minutes. You have an opportunity to look at those. board packets. Is there anything anybody wants to add, amend, remove from any of those minutes? Hearing no comment, would there be a motion to accept those minutes into the record?
So moved.
Mr. Schieffer?
Support.
Mr. Stone? Any discussion? Seeing none, Mrs. Jacobs, please.
Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Schieffer?
Yes.
Mr. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Vernon?
Yes.
Dr. Johnson?
Yes. Next item on the agenda is the treasurer's financial report for September 30th, 2012. Mrs. Jacobs, please.
Well, you know, you have your financial report in front of you, and I know, I know there's a lot of items on here, but there just seems to be so much going on. I am just going to mention some things that didn't even make it to the report. There is I just wanted to let you know that the Finance Committee did meet again, and we discussed the closed figures for September 30th and the 5-year forecast. Not a lot of progress with that committee. We're still struggling to have members. So if you know of anybody that would be interested in serving on the Finance Committee, if you could send them my direction or have them give me a call, that would be really great. Also, you'll have in your packet tonight your 5-year forecast. And I don't know if you want me to discuss that at this point or if you want to wait till later in the meeting. Not a lot has changed on this forecast from the revision that we did in August. We're still seeing a reduced trend in revenues. And even with the reduction in personnel, we're still seeing some expenses rise, some of it due to medical insurance, some of it due to additional purchase services, extra surpluses that are being charged for utilities and those kinds of things. We've tried to keep the expenses under control that we have control of, supplies and equipment, those types of things. But we do have on our radar that we do need to replace some curriculum items. So those expenses are included in this as well. And Mr. Vernon, I apologize. If you have any questions afterwards that you would like to meet with me and go over the forecast, that would be great. The assumptions are basically the key to the forecast. Gives you an idea of what it is I was thinking about when all these numbers came together. So, at any time you want to do that, that's fine.
Yeah, why don't we can hold other questions till the time that it's on
Sure.
the agenda, so that our
That's
guests
fine.
can
Yep,
get on with their
absolutely,
business and-
absolutely. Other than that, for the most part, I mean, we are still projecting a deficit for this year. It is smaller than what we saw last year, but not small by any means. And then the rest of the financial report is just pretty much business as usual. So, but I can address any questions you have about the report.
Questions for Mrs. Jacobs? Again, you have an opportunity to ask maybe some further questions about the 5-year forecast under that section.
Yeah.
Questions about any of the other reports? Okay, Mr. Schieffer. Would there be a second in support?
Second.
Mrs. Stone? Any further discussion? Seeing none, Mrs. Jacobs?
Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Schieffer?
Yes.
Mr. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Murden?
Yes.
Dr. Johnson?
Yes. Next item, approve the addendum to the agenda. I don't believe there is one, is that correct? Next section of the agenda, I'm going to turn over to Mr. Kimmel. It's the commendations section.
And I'm going to welcome Mr. Bauer, Mr. Cohen to the stand, or up front, to hand out the stand right there. Podium.
Where's the bell?
If you notice if you notice, come down the hallway of the board office here, we're very fortunate to have student artists in our displaying their artwork. And so periodically, about quarterly through the year, we ask those students who were, their artwork is represented to come and receive a combination at the board meeting. So Mr. Cohen and Mr. Bauer.
Thank you, Mr. Kimball, and everyone else in attendance. Thank you for having us. We have a little conflict tonight with some of our students in scheduling somewhere at the team meal for tonight, involved with football and the cheerleading and all the things going on with that. We do have several here in attendance, and when I call your name, please come on up and we'll be recognized. We'll get a picture here in a little bit when everybody's been recognized out front there. So before you leave, as you're leaving, we'll meet out there and we'll do that. Morgan Hoffman.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. No, that's fine.
I'm sorry, is this where we're
School
supposed to be for the art?
Yeah, come on in.
Right on time. Sorry.
Yeah, that's good timing, right? All right. Alexandria Howard. Christina Johnson. Autumn Schwartz. Casey Gerstenberger. Bria Cox. Chastity Cox. And we have a few that weren't here. I'll name them off. Jessica Campbell, Shaylee Campbell, Charlie Ossenheimer, Brooklyn Spears, and Ronnie Agler all had conflicts with one thing or another this evening. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And on behalf of the board, thank you for your contributions that make this hallway a little brighter as we come to do our business. So,
Thank you, guys.
if you would like to leave, you're certainly welcome to do so.
You better get out while you can.
Yeah, you're also welcome to stay. I'm not sure.
Yeah, you guys, you are welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting, but we'll go out front for a picture there quickly, and then if you want to come back in for the rest of it, you're more than welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was art.
Thank you.
Hey, shake everybody's hands.
The next item on the agenda are committee reports. Legislative report, Mr. Stone.
The big ticket item seems to be the SCRS pension reform. I'm no longer, for some odd reason, I don't know why, but I'm no longer getting the OSBA legislative update emails. I just stopped getting those a couple weeks ago. I didn't
Check
notice
and
until I
make
was
sure,
getting ready. But under that reform, it seems that the employee contributions for the STRS employees are going up quite substantially starting in July of 2013. It doesn't seem to be the case for SERS employees. I'm not really sure what the rationale is there, but also major changes to retirement criteria coming down. So that is my
And
report.
no increase on the employer side either, which I thought was odd.
Yeah, I don't really understand that, but
It's a
Good.
phase in, it's an additional 1% contribution the first year, and then every year it'll be an additional 1%.
From the employer or from the employee?
From the employee, not the
Sure.
employer. So it's a phase in over a 4-year period. So, but you're right, the major changes with regards to eligibility age for retirement, it's a phase in also. Folks in my boat, it'll be work until age 60, no matter what number of years of experience. So,
Cost of living is a change.
yeah, cost of living. So,
That is my report.
Thank you very much, sir. Athletics, Mr. Schieffer.
Just a couple things, or maybe more than a couple. Fall sports season is quickly coming to a close. I'd like to congratulate our middle school fall athletes who are honored this past Tuesday at their fall sports banquet. High school fall athletes will be honored at their fall sports banquet, 7 p.m. next Tuesday, the 30th of October, in the Bucyrus High School Little Theater for cross country, boys golf, girls tennis, and volleyball. There's a notice that was just in the Telegraph form here recently that all students, athletes, plan to participate in the winter sports must attend a mandatory meeting with a parent or guardian at 7 p.m. on Thursday, November 1st, Bucyrus High School Little Theater. And our 8th annual Bucyrus Boosters Reverse Raffle will be held on Saturday, November 3rd at the VFW post across from Bucyrus Golf Club. Doors are open at 5:30. The drawings start at 6:30. Tickets are $50, and there's still a few available. So you can contact Mr. Jeffrey, our athletic director at the high school. He'll be happy to sell you as many as you want. Redmond football team plays its final home game tomorrow night versus Winford with the Picking Copper Kettle at stake, as well as a possible postseason bid. So we wish Coach Eckert and the football team best of luck. Go Redmond. Also, our boys cross country team will be running this Saturday, the 27th, at the regional cross country meet, having qualified for the 4th year in a row by placing 3rd at the D3 district last Saturday. We wish Coach Rittenauer and the Redmond runners the best as they participate. And finally, I want to recognize Bucyrus High School junior Mikey Hildebrand, who runs cross country. And I want to thank Joey Chandler for the wonderful article that was written in the Telegraph Forum Sports section this past Friday, October the 19th. I don't know if many of you got to read this article or see it, but this moved me reading this article. I've watched Mikey run for a few years and never really realized that he has cerebral palsy. He's just a very special young man, and his coaches, his friends, and his teammates just are very inspired by what Mikey does and how he conducts himself. He lives out his faith, and I just wanted to recognize Mikey and look forward to watching him run here in the future. So, and with that concludes my report.
Very good, thank you.
I did not make the Pioneer meeting this month. I was sick. The agenda looked like it was mostly business as usual, so if anything happened over there, I missed it.
All right. Student achievement, well, the state, I guess, continues to dribble out results, the report card. I'm not sure they're all completely complete, but it looks like they're 90% complete. And I'm sure Mrs. Stanfield or Mr. Kimmel will have some report on the agenda as we go forward. Wellness. Well, it kind of looks like that has Mr. Murdoch's name on it, doesn't it? Every year we have an organizational meeting in January, and we reassign these committees. But I would ask if you're willing and you have the time, and I'm not sure when those are scheduled, but if you'd be willing to at least consider serving on that committee, we would greatly appreciate it.
I can
can substitute a report for wellness.
All right, very good.
On September 28th, the Wellness Committee met, and the main topics of discussion surrounded scheduling for the upcoming annual Wellness Day at the secondary building, and the topics and speakers were being discussed. Also changes with regards to the food service due to the requirements changing was a topic of discussion. And both the positive behavioral program at the elementary and the Renaissance program at the secondary was discussed. The next meeting is actually tomorrow for wellness, but they do meet during the school day. Tomorrow's meeting is at 8:45 a.m. at the elementary building.
Thank you.
I apologize. Is that tomorrow?
Yes.
Excuse me. Yeah, tomorrow, 8:45. And Lori Pankins also serves on that committee, and I think that's about all we talked about. I mean, we have other updates regarding the backpack program, some other things that are going on with wellness.
We'll get you that information. Okay. And Bill Bell Tower, we are in the process of trying to locate an alumni who would like to spearhead this project. So that's the next task for the Bell Tower task force to complete. And we'll be updating you in that regard probably next month. And finally, Matt Music's not going to be here this evening, and in his place is Elizabeth Eichholt. Welcome, Elizabeth.
Thank you.
And I understand you will be the board student representative for the second semester. So this is kind of you're here to kind of feel this thing out a little bit and see what it's all about. Do you have anything you'd like to report on, comments you'd like to make, observations and so forth?
As far as what's going on at the school, tomorrow the high school student council has organized a pep rally, and all this week we have been doing Spirit Week, which was Monday we did Redmond Day, Tuesday was Mismatch Day, Wednesday was Farmer Day, Thursday was Pink Support Breast Cancer, and tomorrow will be Costume Day. Renaissance groups went on a trip to the Sycamore Run Farm Corn Maze. High school went yesterday, middle school is going tomorrow. I'd like to put a big thanks to Ms. Constantine and Girls Boosters for organizing our homecoming dance at the beginning of this month. And students who had poor attendance or grades or had disciplinary issues were not permitted to go. I heard from quite a few students that they liked how that was done because didn't have as many issues at the dance as we've had in the past years. And if we wanted to leave early, I also liked the fact that we had to call for permission, made the students more safe and stuff within the school. As was said before, tomorrow is our Winford game with who is our big rival, and I've heard from a few people that they think we're going to beat them tomorrow, but I've also heard that every year. So we'll just see how that plays out. Yeah, this year's different. We're going to do it. As far as classes, Mr. Schuster's class is working on our senior papers, and I'm liking how that is going. We're having more time to focus on it and get the stuff that we need. And marketing class, we are currently working on a project where we have to develop a, I can't think of the word. We have to make an item of something to help benefit people, and then we have to do all kinds of stuff on that. We had our first etiquette competition last month. That went over pretty well. We had a few awards, and those of us who didn't make awards were pretty high up. But we had fun with it. It was a nice dipping your toes in the water kind of thing to see how it feels. So, that's all I have.
Very good, very good. We do think it's important that students have a voice, and we've had a student rep on here a couple years now. So we appreciate your your input, and it's always smart to compliment one of your teachers in front of the board when they're sitting. It's always a good thing. So thank you, Elizabeth. Next on the agenda is Superintendent's Report, Mr. Kimmel.
Thanks, Dr. Johnson. As you had mentioned earlier, since the last board meeting, the Ohio Department of Education has released on 2 different occasions pieces of our local report card. We do have final statistics with regards to our report card because we were not involved in data scrubbing, as some school districts in the state of Ohio were. Our district report, we earned an effective rating once again this year. We have improved in the number of indicators met. Last year we met 13, this year we met 17, so we increased the number of indicators met, which is a tremendous increase. Also our performance index, which is a very important number that indicates how students are scoring on each individual test throughout the district, increased from 90.7 to 92.3. While we've seen a great amount of improvement in the secondary building, we had just pockets of improvement at the elementary, and so we know what where we need to improve on, and we're making those plans as we speak. We have a district CIP meeting on Monday, and the district CIP meetings represent members from both the elementary and the secondary. And how it works is within each building there's teacher-based teams that meet in groups and discuss data at their grade level or content area. They then study the data, make educational decisions on what they need to change or address, and then that's reported to a building level CIP, and those meetings have been occurring in the buildings, and then we have a district meeting quarterly to monitor the progress that's occurring throughout the district. So like I said, that meeting is taking place Monday afternoon, and that's pretty much wraps up the local report card piece. This week the high school students were administering the OGT. Any junior or senior who has not passed at least one section of that test was administered this week. The nice thing is, I was commenting to Mr. Dennison, is since our students had done so well in the fall last year, we had fewer and fewer students that were required to take that test as a junior or senior, which is a good thing. I think that even, for example, like Monday, we had, 2 kids tested?
Yeah, two
So-
special, one rare.
Yeah, so we had a very limited number of tests to have to administer that this time around, so that's a good thing. On Wednesday this week, Cheryl Mahoney from Pelton Wagner came down and presented a special ed update, spent about 2 hours with our administrative team in the district, and then spent an hour with our teachers at the high school, just providing them an overview of the updates and changes with regards to special education. We started what's called a VLA, Virtual Learning Academy. We're currently working with the teachers at the high school to figure out how we're going to handle the supervision and teacher of record. But basically it's an online classes, online opportunity for our students to maybe receive a course that we currently don't offer in the building, or if there's a scheduling conflict and they can't get a course scheduled. We're also taking a look at this to try to decrease the number of students that withdraw from the district and go to a digital school. That's all set up in place. We're going to have a couple students that's going to be taking their coursework that way. And then we still need to work out some details with our teachers with regards to coverage. This is in addition to what we have been offering the last 4 or 5 years with regards to Plato credit recovery. This is actually a credit attainment or credit advancement opportunity for our students. A couple of trainings I went to recently, I just finished up. We had every administrator is required to be credentialed in order to evaluate teachers, and then also then evaluate principals. And even though Mr. Henderson and I had attended the principals evaluation system in April, since then they had changed the rules, so we had to go through a refresher this week. And then we have to go online and take an online assessment. I believe Mrs. Stanfield's already been passed, and she is a credentialed evaluator for principal credential. So you have to take a test in order to be able to evaluate teachers now. and then ultimately to evaluate principals. So we're going through that training, and all the administrators in the district are either have been qualified to do that or certified to do that now, or will be here very shortly. Couple,
The board need to take a test to evaluate you?
He's hoping so.
That's coming. Just a couple day reminders. This Saturday, excuse me, I'm still trying to fight off a cold. This Saturday is the Bucyrus Craft Show at the high school. It starts at 9 a.m. and all of the proceeds from that goes back and directly supports our booster organizations. And Monday night is an educational foundation meeting. And in November, both buildings will be sharing with their staff value-added reports. It's something new this year that talks about the progress our students are making, both as a building level and then also then as then on teacher level basis. So I just touched on a couple things that we're involved in, but busy time of the year. Any questions?
I just want to back up to something that Elizabeth mentioned, and that was what a positive experience the homecoming dance was. And I'd just like to commend Mr. Dennison, Mr. Henderson for kind of upping the standards for what it takes to have the privilege to attend that. And I know as a parent, I greatly appreciate that. Thank you. Would there be anybody that wishes to address the board this time? Okay, moving on to the business items of the agenda. Mr. Kimmel, personnel, certified staff.
Dr. Johnson, it's my recommendation the Board of Education approve items A and B under the personnel certified staff section.
And would there be a motion to approve that recommendation?
So moved.
Mr. Schieffer? Would be a second?
Second.
Mrs. Stone? Any discussion regarding those two items? Hearing none, roll call please.
Mrs. Stone? Yes. Mr. Schieffer?
Yes.
Mr. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Murda?
Yes.
Dr. Johnson?
Yes. Mr. Kimmel, personnel classified staff, please.
Yes, Dr. Johnson, it's my recommendation that the Board of Education approve item A under the personnel classified staff section.
And would there be a motion to accept that recommendation?
So moved.
Mr. Stone?
Support.
Mrs. Stone? Discussion? Hearing none, roll call please.
Mrs. Stone? Yes. Mr. Schieffer?
Yes.
Mr. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Murda?
Yes.
Dr. Johnson?
Yes. And there are several items under the business section of the agenda. Mr. Kimmel?
Dr. Johnson, it's my recommendation the Board of Education approve items A through G under the business section of the agenda.
Would there be a motion to accept that recommendation?
So moved.
Mrs. Stone?
Support.
Mr. Schieffer? Any discussion on those items? Hearing none, roll call please.
Mrs. Stone? Yes. Mr. Schieffer?
Yes.
Mr. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Murda?
Yes.
Dr. Johnson?
Yes. Several items under discussions. Mr. Kimmel, please.
Yes, we have two items under discussion tonight, and I'm going to ask Mrs. Stanfield to explain what you have in front of you or what you have on the computer. There's two documents. One is a parent's guide to early entrance to kindergarten, and the second document is an application for parents who choose to want to send their son or daughter to kindergarten early. Mrs. Stanfield?
Thank you. Dr. Johnson, board members, the first one, I'm going to start with the application one, even though that's listed as the second one. But what we have done with the help of our Mid-Ohio Educational Service Center gifted coordinator and myself, we've sat and looked at these documents, updated what we had. Then we sent all of this to our kindergarten teachers to have them look at it for their input, as well as Mrs. Spade and Mr. Hism. Currently, for a student to enroll, a parent comes in with a one-page document and they just say, I want my child to be early entrance to kindergarten. And with the third grade reading guarantee, we felt that we needed to get more in line with what the state is expecting and beef up that process so that we're putting some more emphasis on the parents need to be aware. It's just not because I think my child's smart and need to come to school. So you can see we've turned a one-page application to several pages. And along with that, the parents are required to contact the child's preschool teacher and have the preschool teacher fill out their recommendation. Now, if the child didn't go to preschool, then we will have one of our staff members, and currently we've had our literacy coach, Deb Hoover, test that child and fill out a report on them. Then this is sent to Mr. Roll and other members to determine if this child is ready to enter kindergarten. The other piece that you have in front of you, before parents, want to send their child, we put together a little brochure so that the parents are aware of what it does mean to have their child enroll in kindergarten early. In the past several years, we probably only had, and I want to say in the last 8, 9 years, maybe 3 students. We had that many just this year. So it seems to be more of a trend, and there's all sorts of different reasons. But we want to be cautious and make sure that we are following ODE recommendations with this, especially with the 3rd grade reading guarantee. And we're also aligning the application. The state has approved only one assessment that the children can take, and that's called the Iowa Basic Acceleration Scale. That's the only test that we can give a student for early entrance. So our application mirrors that and is aligned with the state recommended assessment. So we just thought we needed to update our brochures and policies, and wanted to put that before you.
So are these policy pieces you want to act on some point?
This discussion tonight, it is probably more in line with administrative guidelines. We do have some policy updates from Neola coming on early entrance. Mrs. Stanfield and I are going to be reviewing those policies. We'll be receiving them either at the November meeting or the December meeting. But I thought it would be once, I do believe once the board kind of gives their stamp of approval on that, what we'd like to do is get those posted to our website and have them available in the offices in case a parent does come in and want to enroll their kid early in the kindergarten. So there's no rush on that, more of a discussion item tonight. There will be policy backing up this legislature at forthcoming.
Any other discussion items? Next item on the agenda is communications. Does anyone have any communications they wish to share? The last item, announcements, and I just want to mention 2 before we get to the Capitol Conference. At some point, we probably ought to have an updated photo with Mr. Morgan.
Yes. Yeah, we're going to announce that. We should have announced that different. Oh, it is announcements. November 15th, our next Board of Education meeting, we will have a photo either prior to the meeting or after the meeting to update our website.
And we all need to dress like Mr. Murda, or he needs to dress like us. Well, at least the men.
I'll probably come closer to yours.
Mr. Kimmel, we'll do both a group shot, and then we'll also need just an individual shot of you, Mr. Murdoch, and then I'm also going to send you a questionnaire.
Okay.
We just do little short pieces with each board member, so I'll get that to you, probably in the next day or so.
Okay.
Okay.
And I don't know, maybe you mentioned it, Mr. Kimmel, did they put a new photo in the basketball program, or is that just for the football program?
It just depends. Mr. Fisher's currently selling ads and putting together the basketball program. Depending on space and everything, if there is a Board of Education photo in there, we'll be sure to make sure we try to get that updated photo.
Hopefully he can sell out the space and want to be in there.
And then just something for the board to think about, and Mr. Kimmel and I have talked, at some point, hopefully before the beginning of 2013, we can get together and have a work session. I think there's a number of items we just need to bring several people up to speed on, all of us up to speed on some important issues facing the district that need to be discussed in that setting. And of course, those are public meetings and anyone can attend. But it does give us an opportunity in a little different setting to discuss the district. Any other announcements? Capital Conference, November 11th through 14. I think I am the delegate this year, and is Adam the alternate, or did we decide on an alternate? Or?
I know we've got one.
Is
it me?
Okay.
I think it is.
It's me.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
We were going to get to meet that next.
Okay, all right. And if there's no other business before the board, would entertain a motion to recess to executive session for the purpose of preparing for negotiation and to discuss the discipline of an employee with no action to follow. And I would entertain a motion to adjourn the executive session at this time.
So moved.
Mrs. Stone?
Support.
Mr. Schieffer? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Stone? Yes. Mr. Schieffer?
Yes.
Mr. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Dr. Johnson?
Yes. Good job.
You get them all?
Hey, Lori, before you leave, go and get these contracts signed right now. Dawn's gonna be out. Dawn and Tina are both out Friday and Monday, so we need to get them.
Okay.
Nice to have you with us. Thank you. Very
Okay.
nice.
Okay, cool, thanks, Anthony.
Yes, you are. You're the
Yeah.
first girl.
Yeah.
Awesome, yes. You're a trailblazer.
Very nice, thank you.
Good job.
Completed.